Hi everyone, this is Jennifer again for Breaking Bio. I'm with Sara Lara. She is the founder and executive director of Women for Conservation, which is primarily based in Colombia. Am I correct?
Yeah, we did make projects in Colombia, yes.
That's awesome. And then can you please tell everyone what the whole idea of Women for Conservation is?
Well, sure. Thank you first, Jennifer, for having me. It's a pleasure since I met you in San Francisco. It's been wonderful. And having the opportunity to tell you and the people who what are we doing is awesome because it's exactly what we want to do is spread the word about women working in conservation and getting them engaged. So our organization has been doing this work since 2004. And basically, we are working with rural women from communities in Colombia in a very important habitats for endemic species, and some of these species are in critical, are under threats and they're critical in danger. So what we do is depends of the communities and the locations we design with the women and key members of the community what projects would be most suitable for them. We're talking about a range of different activities. Some of the communities we started with developing micro businesses using seeds, and in other communities we complemented with where the women were more interested to get skills and knowledge about birds and very interested in becoming forest guards. Bird watching is also very exciting for them, and it's because when women they're so busy in their lives taking care of the homes, their children, the families, and there is really very little time to spend to nurture that connection between nature and women. And I think these workshops and sessions that we've been doing is super empowering because we come and discuss subjects that are very sometimes difficult and there is no many opportunities. So we providing skills, we also getting equipment for the ladies to be able to learn about nature and birds and frogs and plants, and we bring them to the nature reserves, which is allows them to see and well the backyards also there is a lot of wildlife and we don't have to go that further. So that's basically what we're doing. And the intention is to engage as many women as possible and young ladies, encourage them to continue with an education and perhaps look into get into careers where are related to environment, biology, ecology, and so forth. So that's it. That's what we've been doing uh, since 2004.
And then you recently just became an NGO, right? I remember us talking about this in San Francisco, which is super exciting. You have the official designation. So again, congrats on that. That's super cool.
Thank you. That was a big step for us. It was very different to try to do these projects when you are under the umbrella of a partner or an NGO. And it was wonderful, but it has challenges because, to be honest with you, these organizations have their own mission and priorities. And most of the time, they have to try to collaborate and help us to develop gender programs and gender projects, but it's not the main goal. And now, after many frustrations and seeing so much need and so much potential, and the women even saying, "Okay, why can't we do more? Always, we would like to take it to the next level." And if I made the decision to just to try and see what happens. And so far, very good. We are 501(c)(3) established in the US. We now can get donations online, and it's our website. And it's fantastic because we are also connecting women from, we're based here in Virginia, but women from the US or Europe and women from all across Latin America. So creating this network and platform to discuss issues and get together and help each other and encourage each other is really rewarding.
Yeah, that's so cool. Yeah, I mean, Yeah, I mean, I was so excited when I saw your table. I was like, oh my goodness, this is perfect. So it was cool just to be able to like talk shop a little bit. And that's like a huge thing for me personally, because I always want to encourage diversity and, encourage people who are interested in conservation to go for it and, find their little niche. So it's really cool that you're able to do that at Colombia. And then can you just go into your background a little bit, how you kind of got all started in conservation?
Sure. My background, I'm a civil engineer. I work in construction mainly for some years, working for Halliburton and in the UK. But then I had the opportunity to go back to Colombia and Ecuador, especially where I was in a different time in my life where I could take some time off, and I started to spend a lot of time in nature for the first time, looking at nature and admiring nature. So that gave me an opportunity to realize that, like, the beauty, like, never had it. I never did it before, and it was shocking to me because just taking everything for granted. And the more I learn about endangered species, and the more that I spend time in nature, I something was woke up in me, and this love for the spending time outside just start growing and growing. And to be honest with you, I was in a part of my life where I was coming out of a very difficult time. First
Mm-hmm.
of all, I had a very troubled relationship with my father, and what is situations like many women around the world unfortunately face of abuse. And I try everything, but nothing kind of helped me this deep healing that I needed. And it was nature who really
Mm-hmm.
helped me to find that peace. And all that put together, I look for an opportunity to get into conservation. And with my background of management and projects and from engineering, I think it was a good combination. And I started volunteer for an organization in Colombia, and eventually I became the executive director, and I ran it. It's called ProAves, ran it for 6 years. During that time, I completely fall in love with bird conservation and
Mm-hmm.
working with communities. And then back in time, that's when we start doing projects with women. And after that, I move on to work here in the US for the American Bear Conservancy, managing the Latin America division. And it was wonderful because coming from a background of running a nonprofit in a country where the situation was difficult back in the time, thank God it's been changing now.
Mm-hmm.
So allows me to understand the partner's perspective, the challenges, and help them to implement projects. And
Mm-hmm.
after that, I work for the Rainforest Trust, also here in Virginia, as a director of conservation for Latin America. And again, very similar to the previous job, where we had the chance to implement many projects with amazing, wonderful partners in the region. And again, my heart always pulling towards we got to get more women. We need to engage more women and young ladies. We invest in the generation who is coming behind, and
Mm-hmm.
especially with climate change and everything that is happening, extinction happening so fast. I think we have to move quicker.
Mm-hmm.
That's what triggers me to get so involved in conservation.
Mm-hmm. Well, thank you so much. I mean, I read up on your bio and I read your story and I thought it was amazing. And thank you so much for speaking out about past trauma and how that's I mean, I think that's also a conversation that needs to be spoken of more often for sure. I mean, to speak that this is my truth, this is what happened, but I have found a way to kind of heal and move past that. And, that's part of your story, but that's not all you are. That doesn't define you necessarily. That's just, a small facet of who you are. So thank you so much for sharing that. That's really, really awesome. And then what are some of the biggest challenges that you've personally faced, kind of especially with transitioning from a construction, civil engineering background into conservation? Like, what were some of the things that kind of popped up that you found particularly hard to handle?
Well, I'm very familiar with working in an environment with mainly are men, is
Hmm.
men dominated, and like in the engineering sector, I what it was shocking to me is I didn't feel so much friction of competition in that field as much as I feel it in the conservation world. It's a bit sad to me to admit this, but I encountered big challenges working as a woman, perhaps also a minority group here
Hmm.
in the US. And it's unfortunate that I have to face several situations where I found myself a little bit of what's the word I'm looking for? Putting against the wall and
Hmm.
sword, like so. Yeah, so if that happens to me, which I'm in a privileged situation, kind of saying, where imagine you what happened to women who are at the front line of conservation. They want
Hmm.
they want to move uh, things forward to benefit conservation. I just can't imagine how much how difficult it is. And you've seen, unfortunately, many women have been who have been advocating for environment. They've been murdered, or they have to.
Hmm.
They are in fear and they can't speak up. Or they have to be to a very carefully. So yeah, it's a challenge sometimes, but I think we have to continue support each other. And
Hmm.
what we're looking is a long term, not this very short term. And we as a mothers, or we have, I would like to think that my grandchildren can enjoy some of the beautiful species that we can see now. And I think that women, we tend to look further in the future. And but yeah, I hope I answered your question.
Yeah, no,
That was a
absolutely. Yeah.
hard question, Jenny.
No, I mean, and
It's
I
true.
mean, I think also just bringing these up and just saying that, it's not just one person or it's not isolated. I mean, these are all things that, we have all faced. Definitely people questioning, well, why are you in this field? Why aren't you doing this? What do your parents think? All those things. I mean, I've definitely faced that, and all I can say is, well, I'm lucky enough. At least my parents are supportive of what I do, and not that it's any of anyone else's business what they think, but unfortunately, because we stand out, we get those really awkward, annoying questions. So, yeah, I understand where you're coming from. And then aside from getting your NGO status, what have been kind of the other challenges that you face just trying to start your own organization?
I think I've been very blessed with having supporters that they believe in and amazing guys that are actually saying you got to keep going and do what you do and supporting us. Thank goodness we've been doing it for quite a while, so it's not super recent because I can imagine the struggle and how complicated it is. But I try not to stress so much in performance or how we grow and expand more than really building relationships with
Mm-hmm.
women. And that is just gives me so much satisfaction in the sense that if I share my story with women in Colombia, or now we're talking to women in Ecuador and in different parts, expanding to other countries, they're reaching out to me and say, well, it's fantastic. Give us what you think we can do here and then. And that is just so rewarding. And
Mm-hmm.
people like you who came to our stand and just give us encouragement, because just to hear from other people that they like what we're doing is just so precious. And
Mm-hmm.
networking and sharing and making a lot of
Absolutely.
friends everywhere is absolutely wonderful. And see results that actually conservation happen, and getting tangible results, and see these ladies. Okay, doing this, and this is happening, and it's a positive impact. Like we're organizing a family planning campaign workshop, sorry, in
Mm-hmm.
9th of November in Sierra Nevada and Santa Marta. And there are two community leaders, the two ladies, who are pushing the whole process. They are themselves, and we are helping a little bit, but they are doing it. And they're mobilizing so many women. So what we're going to end up is perhaps having more women than we were planning for, but it's a good problem to have.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah.
That's really cool. Yeah, it was and I mean, I think the whole idea of incorporating the education and then also the family planning, I mean, that's kind of a harder topic to talk about too. I mean, it's kind of on the radar in general for conservation, but it's again one of those things that isn't exactly, broadcast loud and wide that, oh yes, family planning is important to this, but it's something, again, need to talk about more, spread the word, because that is a huge issue. And if, it's giving women more choices, more control, more opportunity, and that will hopefully eventually, provide them with more opportunities once they have the ability to plan families.
Yeah, exactly. And so many young ladies from the age of 12, they're already, in some of the cases, they're expecting a baby already, and they never had the chance to continue their education. So there is a lot of work, and I think breaking the taboo, speaking
Mm-hmm.
about it, and connecting the dots between conservation, women empowerment, family planning, getting access to resources so women can be self-sustainable. There is all these combinations of things. I think to get conservation done, you need a whole toolkit,
Mm-hmm.
different resources, because only one thing doesn't do the whole,
Mm-hmm.
you know.
Yeah, absolutely. And then what's the coolest thing that you've done in your career in conservation? What do you think is like the highlight so far? There's a lot going to be happening in the future, I'm sure, but so far, what's the coolest thing?
Thank you. Well, the coolest, and I'm super proud, is the recovery of one of the most critical endangered species in Colombia is the yellow-eared parrot.
Oh,
This,
okay.
yeah, when I joined ProAves, an amazing group of biologists, they rediscovered the species, and there were 88 individuals in the wild. And
Oh,
it,
wow.
that they yeah, so they thought they were going to go extinct because it was linked to a Palm Sunday campaign where it's a religious tradition that they cut the palm for a procession. And so the habitat, the parrots depend on the palm, and the palm was cut as super fast,
Mm,
and they didn't have where to nest the parrots. But when I joined ProAuris, we start working with the communities, the biologists, and we target the threats. And within 6 years, we saw the recovery of the species. It started to go super exponentially, and with partners from Spain, from Loro Parque, different partners here in the US, all came together to help. But for me, being in the position as executive director and being able to orchestrate what was happening was such a pleasure. And today is more than 2,000 individuals. So
holy Toledo.
yeah,
That's
yeah.
wow.
And we
Holy
had Catholic
cow.
Church when they say we approached them and it says, no, you please help us. And at the beginning they were reluctant, but after years of talking and educating everyone, they support us. The police came and said it's illegal to cut the palm, and the church encouraged the congregation not to use it, to replace it with other plants, and that was fabulous. So conservation can happen. You engage the constituency, the people, and eventually they own it. And it's them and it's
Hmm.
their species. And that's exactly what you want. And I believe if you give a chance to species to recover, they recover. Nature is
Hmm.
incredible in that sense. Too.
Wow. I'm still trying to wrap my mind around that. That's incredible. And that was over how many years, that recovery?
Well, it's been 50. 15 years so far, but some initiatives that started 15 years ago, the community adopted, and festivals, and they do at nest boxes, and just to have all these people coming and say, yeah, we're going to protect the species. And the species now, the parrot has been seen in different parts of Colombia, and it's starting to go to Ecuador where they used to live. So
Oh,
I think to
wow.
me that's the greatest satisfaction ever.
That's, I mean, absolutely. That is so, oh, wow. That's so cool. I mean, and yeah, that reinforces that there is still hope. It's not all a lost cause. And
Right.
yeah, I mean, you have to work with the local communities, because if their needs aren't being met, then you're just going to be hitting a giant brick wall. It's not going to go anywhere, because then
Yeah.
there's going to be a bunch of people yelling at each other, and then that goes absolutely nowhere. Everyone's just going to go home mad, and nothing's going to get done. So,
Exactly.
wow, that's really, really cool. Wow.
Thank you.
I mean, again, I'm a huge bird nerd, so I'm just like, oh my goodness.
Birds are
Um, hmm?
birds are amazing. They open
Yes.
doors everywhere. It's
Yeah.
great.
Yeah, it's cool. And then I guess my final question is, how can we encourage diversity in conservation?
Wow, another great question. I think by creating more opportunities for women, and if we purposely come with ideas and give a space for women to be part of the tables discussion, uh, I think that's how we can start changing and get more diversity in conservation. And I compared to when I started, if I can say, I see more women and young ladies interested now in being part of it, like it was 10 years ago. So
Mm-hmm.
that to me is very positive. But we need to continue to really invest in supporting women to get skills, training, participate in conference, get projects on the ground, it, from different levels. And the more that we do it, and the more we welcome them and recognize small successes to medium and big, I think is women are going to be more excited to be part of it. And having networks, if we all work together, we're not alone. And I think that it tends to be difficult when we feel we are alone.
Mm-hmm.
Challenges can be hard.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, yeah, if you feel like you're the only one in an ocean of voices who just don't care, then
Mm.
yeah, definitely. Just that knowing that there are other people out there who are just as passionate as you are. I mean, that definitely helps. I mean, that keeps me going. I mean, that's part of the reason why I love going to those WCN expos, is because it's a whole day surrounded by people who are just as passionate as I am about conservation and saving our environments and our species. I mean, yeah, absolutely, it definitely does help. And then I always come back and I'm re-energized and ready to go and tackle all the other problems that are happening in the world. So yeah, I definitely agree with that 100%.
Thank you.
And so I guess that's all we've had for now. Thank you so much, Sarah, for taking the time to talk with me about your amazing work. I mean, holy cow, I'm going to look up more stuff about that parrot, because that's so neat.
Yes.
I mean, yeah, I'm going to be a buzz about that for like days now. So fair warning. So
Yeah.
yeah, well, thank you so much. And thank you to all our viewers. If you're interested in our content, go ahead and click on the subscribe button below the video. And thanks. We'll catch you guys later. Bye.
Bye. Thank you.